For me, it's a big treat to be able to see our CEO present. And he's here today, and he's excited for this, for you guys as new users or mature users. But I want you guys to match his excitement, and I want some of you guys to try and move forward.
Yeah.
Move forward, because he feeds off audience energy. So please, those in the back, if you guys can move forward, come down. Yes, you in the back, come down here. Let's go.
Didn't do my scientific work in the hope of winning prizes and medals. I did it because I wanted to understand the use.
To the stage, Chairman and CEO, Dean Stoker.
And I don't always go long, just for clarity. So welcome. It is fantastic to wake up in Sydney, Australia, listening to Jim Morrison and the Doors. Gentlemen, notes? Listening to Jim Morrison and the Doors. True story. I grew up to Jim Morrison back in the 70s. He altered my view of rock and roll. He changed my outlook on life, going from a young man to or a young boy to a young man. I still listen to Jim Morrison almost every day driving to the office. Let me ask you this, who's altered your life? Anybody? I'll give you a few people who've altered my life other than Jim Morrison. How about J.C.R. Licklider? Anyone know who he is? Wrote Man-Computer Symbiosis, seminal paper back in the 60s. Taking the friction away between the human and the computer. We've kind of built Alteryx according to J.C.R. Licklider's mantra. How about Alan Turing? Without Alan Turing injecting human logic into the bomb, World War II probably would have not ended quite the same. And how about Bucky Fuller? Buckminster Fuller, who said we're building all the right technologies for all of the wrong reasons. And in order to get to the future, I have to think about what's happening today. And you know, when I travel, I love to sit at airports and just watch people with all the handheld devices, and you're looking at double-decker airplanes, and you're out in the streets and you see autonomous vehicles still crashing. And it's amazing that all this stuff is creating so much data. It's going to be daunting for all of us. The challenges of the data scientist, the ordinary data worker, are seemingly insurmountable. There's so much data being collected today. We've got to figure out the future. Otherwise, it's not going to end well. In my alma mater, University of Colorado, I had a philosophy class. And the philosophy final exam was one question. It was why. Now that's kind of disingenuous because the guy who got the A was the guy who wrote why not. Well, that's kind of simple. The question should have been what? What do you want to be known for? What problems are you going to solve? What challenges are you going to face and alter? What do you want to be known for? What do you want your legacy to be? And the follow-up question, how are you going to get there? Without all of your breakthroughs as data workers, I don't think the future is going to end too well. So we have got to figure out how to get busy. And I think the way we get there is we give you a bunch of possessions that are going to be extraordinarily helpful along the way. Now imagine this, waking up. How many people opened up Alteryx before you came here today? Yeah, I see a bunch of addicts. No, I know you love the platform. It's amazing. You wake up every day and you say, I'm going to solve a problem I've never solved before. Maybe you're going to solve a problem that nobody's been able to solve before. We hear that all the time. People saying they've figured out something that they never even imagined they could ask before. And I know what you guys do. You spend all your time munging data, living in complex VLOOKUPs. It's definitely a big challenge. Sometimes you got to just believe that you can accomplish things. I think it needs a bit of courage, a little blind faith, a little uncommon trust. You know, there's only two kinds of people in this world. Those that sort of wait for the future to arrive, and those that help define it and craft it. Now, I know a lot of you, how many people are not Alteryx users today? There's a few of you. I know what you do in your life. You hide behind the cool, sexy dashboard because nobody ever got shot from taking a cool, sexy dashboard to a meeting. Or you're living in your complex VLOOKUPs because it's safe. I read a story yesterday that 61% of businesses around the world upon its name. You know, think Apple or Amazon. These are nouns. These are nouns. Some of my favorite tools for business. Tableau is an amazing product. It's a point solution at the top of the stack. It allows me to do one thing extraordinarily well. Create beautiful visualizations so that people can understand their data. But not much more than that. I've been using Microsoft Word for, 35, 40 years. And it's an amazing point solution. It's a noun. It allows me to create documents, send out memos to the team, save recipes at home, love letters to my wife, which I don't do enough of. It allows me to create tons of fiction as well. Tons of fiction. Then Microsoft came out with Excel. Now, it's a verb, I'll admit that. Excel is a verb, but it only allows me to do one thing: manage data and formulas and calculations in rows and columns in an embedded formulas metaphor. The truth is, there is way more fiction written inside of Excel than there'll ever be written inside of Word. And you all know that. It's a brittle spreadsheet that you've got to get out of. The difference is, in your craft, you have to have the ability to alter everything, not just one thing. You can't do one thing really well. You're going to end up with 6 or 7 or 8 different tools, and you're going to be mediocre at most everything. So you need an end-to-end platform that is a verb, and that's what we've created for you. Now, what do you call a product that does everything? Well, when we first launched Alteryx a few years ago, we had a naming contest internally. This is when we were about 35 employees, and we said, let's just, someone come up with a good name for this thing that does everything. And you see some of the names popping up here on the screen. And they were all clever. They all described what the product is, but not necessarily what the product does. And in the end, we knew that we had to have a verb, because that's the only way you're going to be able to alter everything. And so we came up with Alteryx, the original logo for Alteryx. Alter your databases spatially, as noted by the YX. So anyone who has spatial, well, I believe that everything that happens in business happens somewhere. So we know that most of your challenges, spatial analytics can be a complete driver. And we prosecuted spatial because we knew that if you could do this weird science, that all the other data science would be a lot easier to implement. We're going to give you the opportunity to alter your schedule so that you can get home early and have amazing work-life balance. We're going to alter how you drive value for your company. We're going to turn every one of you into discoverers of marginal profitability for the enterprise. We're going to give you the chance to finally do the work you were trained to do, the work that you were hired to do. We're going to alter your career. And for the first time in your career, you're going to get rewarded for it. We see this all the time where people solve amazing challenges. They deal with complex issues and questions that have never been asked before, and they're driving huge value. And that all comes back to them in spades. Promotions, raises, new careers, new businesses get formed. It's pretty exciting what's happening out there. And in the end, Bucky Fuller was right. We're going to alter our world. We have to gift it to the next generation. We have to leave it in better shape in which we got it. Customers, partners, prospects, and the 50 or so employees that have joined us here from the U.S., welcome to the event. Now, those are some of the possessions, but if you're not an Alteryx user today, depending on what your persona is, you're going to face a whole bunch of challenges. How many of you would classify yourself as a data analyst or a citizen data scientist? Yeah, a fair number of you. Well, your challenge is going to be getting your time back. I know how you spend your time. We've done plenty of research. 80% of your time is spent munging data, playing with data, trying to find the data, putting it together, and doing complex VLOOKUPs. 75% of your time. 20% of your time is analyzing the data. So here it is, 1/5 of your work was supposed to be around, or 100% of your work was supposed to be around analysis, and now you're down to 1/5 of your work around analysis. There's something just terribly wrong with this. And if it's 75 plus 20, that's 95%. So I know what you're doing with the other 5% of your time. You're brushing up your CV because your job sucks. It's true. We see this all the time. I've had interviews with countless people who have said, I was ready to leave my job because I'm not actually doing what I was trained to do. To allow her to alter everything at Adidas. And it's amazing what we're seeing here. The ability to connect to the databases that matter so that you're not spending all your time trying to find these assets. The ability to build analytic pipelines and build algorithms that you can then share on server, all the way to promotion of your algorithm models so that we can actually help this world get eaten by machine learning. And it's amazing the kind of results you see. I mean, I talked with a bunch of people yesterday in and out of training, and pretty spectacular magnitude improvements in operational efficiencies. Doesn't matter where you look. Doesn't matter what industry, it doesn't matter what functional use case. Now, I travel an extraordinary amount, and I want to make sure that my airports are efficient, right? And so we have a lot of airports around the world that use Alteryx, but this example was pretty telling to me. The third largest, or third busiest airport in the world with 100 million passengers flowing through it every single year. They were running the airport in Dubai on its own. Big challenge for them. Lots and lots of flights every single day. Over the years, Chris has helped lots of companies across many industries, which speaks to the horizontal nature of, one, his thinking, and two, the capabilities of the platform. But government, telecom, logistics, waste management, all doing different kinds of analytic processes. He loved it so much and found it so successful in his engagements that he decided to take control of his career. And just recently he decided to start his own consulting practice called Visualize Data with Alteryx as one of the core components of his deliverables. He has found that one of the keys to his success was spending a bunch of time on Alteryx community, community.alteryx.com. If you haven't spent time there, we know that we're deflecting tickets, we're getting people amped up in their skills, we're allowing users to help users. This is how people learn. We've proven that data science and analytics is a social experience, and Chris is an integral part of that process. Chris McClellan is Alteryxing his career. Chris, give it up. We are uniting families like the Hated-Twos. Now, you want to see the latest capabilities in the platform? Yeah? Okay, you're going to have to wait a second. I'm not done. Katie's going to be up here in a minute, though, because we have Alteryx. I was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia this last year. Met with a group at Quant Data and Analytics. You know what they did? Without any training, they built a SaaS service in Alteryx that does price optimization for fast food retailers. You wouldn't think that that's that impressive, but fast food has now become a big, big deal in Saudi. And they did this with one trained statistician writing Python models, a couple of data engineers working on workflows inside of Alteryx, and a UI UX guy, and they're killing it. So we're not just building workflows and apps and macros, we're building enterprises.